Welcome to an amateur video just demonstrating a rig I've developed for using the Android 7-inch Samsung Galaxy Tab 2. There's a Tab 3 that's available, but I just wanted to kind of show you this and what sort of setup you can use to get through a day of field work. This is the Samsung inside of the case, and this is sort of the poor man's approach. If you can afford an Android device or even a Windows mobile device that's good for field work, that's great. Go ahead and get it. They usually range from $2,000 up to almost $10,000. So the Samsung tablet was $200. This case was about $35. And then there's other sorts of things you can get that I'll show you in just a moment. So remember, this is an amateur video. You may hear dogs barking and that sort of thing. So one thing I want you to notice immediately is that this is white, and there's a reason this is white. It's because when you're out doing field work in the sun, these things will cook. And even though you can have it open while you're working, if you set this down, you need to cover it either with this white case, or what I've used, if you want to go to a different sort of approach, you can use a something like a white dish towel or a wash rag. So here we are. I've got this on right now. Let me just proceed here. So now, one of the things that's most important about devices in general is whether or not they are sunlight visible. Virtually none of them work great in direct sunlight, but once you get rid of the glare, I'm not certain I'll be able to show it here, or if it's in your own let me open this up again. It works great, especially if you have white background on things. So let me get back to my home page. So that's kind of a home page. If you hold it in the shade of your own body, it usually works quite well. I'm going to go to an example program right here. I have wetland delineation and data point, a vegetation data collection program. I'm going to open that up, and that the point is just to show you that visibility is reasonably good with a lot of software. Now when I lay it down, it's going to be back in the glare, so you won't get to see it quite as well. So while you're collecting data, it works fine. I always use a stylus, and some of these work better than others. So what you want to do is make sure that you've got one that works well before you head out into the field. So once again, we've got the white case. The cursor, I prefer the cursor. I call this the age of the greasy screen, because with your fingers muddy and dirty and sweaty and greasy, I think you're better off using a stylus of some sort. Once again, the case is white. You'll need something to drape over it when it's just sitting there and not being used in the heat. And then this clipboard is something I got. I've seen them in different places, but I got this, I think, at Staples, and they're fairly cheap. They have a clip that locks them closed. Mine broke off within the first year of use, so I just use a rubber band to keep it clamped. So the Samsung works great. It has a limited battery life, so it will operate from about 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. and I found that that's just not good enough for a day of field work. Its battery is about 4,000 milliamps, and what I've done is found an excellent device, a battery backup called, and I'll show this to you. Got it in a little protective case. Open it up here rather than closing it down. It's called the EZO Power. Let me show it to you a little bit better. So it's called EZO Power, and notice it's got two USB outputs and then a charging input. and this has 8,000 milliamps. So it's going to triple my amount of time, so my battery will actually last longer than I will in the course of field work. And to turn it on, you just snap that button and plug it into the base of the Samsung or whatever device you have, because obviously if you've got a USB charger on whatever device you have, this is going to work just fine. So that'll get you through a day of field work, pretty much no matter what kind of battery you have in your device. And then I can just close that up and place it back in here. And then when I actually do want to use it, I'll just pull the cord, plug it in, and I'm good for the rest of the day. Now, one other thing I'd like to show you, just for those who are kind of wondering about how these things connect. Got my screen to rotate. This is a program that actually utilizes GPS, and you can see that I've got some coordinates in here. But the first thing you have to do is go back to your settings, which is usually this little cog. Go to location services, and then there's usually an option to turn on your GPS. So I've done that now, and here's sort of in multitasking you have the option to see what programs you have open right now. So I can just go back to data point. Here's my little menu. Go to GPS. I tell it to start. It may take a minute or a little more time depending on where you're located. Now I'm behind a hillside, so it took a little bit longer than normal, but it'll give you GPS points and then you can transfer them. So I'm just going to exit out of that. So that's a basic rundown. Oh, the other thing is just as far as how you get this tablet to actually connect to the clipboard, I just use Velcro. I will disconnect it. So it's just a Velcro strap. In the back, I just cut a slot through the little tab that's used to kind of prop this thing up, and cut a slot and ran the Velcro through that. So for something under about say 200, 250 bucks, I've got a complete field kit. The backup battery is something under 30 bucks. The Android device is about 170. Like I said, the case ranges between 30 and 40, and then anywhere from like $5 to 10 bucks for the stylus, and then the Velcro, just a few bucks at some sort of a fabric store. So that's it.